Buenas tardes. Esto no va a ser un directo porque son combates que ya he hecho, pero los voy a grabar, ¿vale? ¿Por qué voy a hacer estos combates? Todos los bocadillos azules, ojo. Estamos en el capítulo 5 de Glory Fall, justo antes de entrar en el pilar. Esto es a continuación del último directo, que todavía el vídeo no está subido, pero para cuando esté esto publicado, sí. Y nos queda el pilar de luz y cargando otra vez a Alternis Dim. Me dijeron en el chat que si no hacía todo el contenido del capítulo 5, o sea, toda la subtrama del capítulo 5, no podría acceder al asterisco del sabio, que es el del viejo Juliana. Por lo tanto, vamos a hacerlo. Voy a poner clip, o sea, voy a parar esto, cuando vaya en combate lo pondré de nuevo, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. No va a haber nada de seguido, salvo un par de cosas, pero bueno. Y poco más, lo iremos viendo. Va a ser combate, ¿de acuerdo? Prepararemos las rocas para cargarnos al vampiro. Y posiblemente lo hagamos también en este capítulo, ¿vale? Lo digo más que nada porque no me da tiempo a hacer un directo y tengo que avanzar. Quiero pasarme Final Fantasy IX y estoy retrasándolo todo el maldito rato, ¿de acuerdo? Nada. Vaya a recibir una segunda paliza.
They'd give you a run for your money, Holly.
Watch your mouth, meathead. Would you like a boot to the face? Oh, perfect. They brought more friends with them this time.
Venimos toda la trupe.
Oh, there. Hold up. Isn't that Idea with them?
I knew that little hussy wasn't to be trusted. Huh. The Templar's daughter, of all people.
Hey, Idea! What's this all about? Have you gone and stabbed us in the
Sabemos
back?
que estos son los del asterisco del monje y del mago blanco, ¿verdad?
I haven't been this riled up since this morning. Oh well, time for round 2.
Something's got them real mad.
Estos combates, ¿vale? La segunda vuelta tienen más vida y tienen otros objetos que robar. Vamos primero a por... No sé si tiene Lázaro. Si tiene Lázaro estoy jodido, pero creo que no lo tiene. Pero creo que primero vamos a ir por el monje, porque es el más peligroso. No sé por qué la unificación se ve. Hace implosión, la verdad.
You've got to be kidding me, Barris. What are you doing? Stand up! Get on your feet and roar like you always do! I can't get into my rhythm otherwise!
Yo me parece que no,
You worthless worm.
Tengo que revivir a Tío.
There's nothing worse than a man who lets women down.
Ya está. GG.
How could you do this to your elder? What cruel rats. All that showing off. You really make me sick.
A tu puta casa, muy cool. Poción Aquí Turbo y Ether Turbo. Tengo que comprar cosas,
They seemed different from last time.
You mean they weren't like that?
Not quite, no. And they seem surprised to see us.
They said something about us bringing friends. Last time it was just you and me, Tis.
Right.
Conversación. No. ¿Quién ha cambiado? Ahora lo entiendo. ¿El qué, Dea? Holly y Barra nos habrán visto hace un rato. ¿Eh? ¿A nosotros? Ah, ya te entiendo. Eso explicaría su reacción. ¿Han conocido a los nuestros de este mundo? Ahora sí que estoy confundida. A decir verdad, la impresión que me han causado esos dos es muy distinta a la primera vez. ¿Porque sus corazones no son negros? Diría más bien que es imposible odiarlo. Puede que sea porque lo acabo de conocer, pero estoy con idea. Su corazón no parece negro. ¿Será porque son diferentes a los de antes? O a lo mejor hemos cambiado nosotros. No lo sé. Pero yo no creo que haya cambiado. Es cierto, no has cambiado nada, Ringabel. Pero seguro que puedo solucionarlo. A ver. Es que claro, ten en cuenta que estamos en otra realidad, más o menos, aproximadamente. Señores, estaba entrenando, ¿vale? Estaba con... Bueno, a ver, estoy subiendo ocultistas. Y he dicho... Como combo, para subir rápido, lo que tengo puesto es invocación. Gasto mucho maná, es cierto. Pero ventilo los enemigos que da gusto. Por lo tanto, he dicho, digo, bueno... Tengo todas las invocaciones. La cosa es no. Vale, me queda una invocación que acabo de encontrar dónde está. Bueno, acabo de llegar donde es, ¿vale? Que es aquí. Y pues la grabo y la veis.
It's cold. Still no one. Still keeping me waiting.
Lo siento, también te digo.
Ah, good. I was sick of waiting. Well, net brave souls. You bear the qualifications. I am the mouthpiece of Susano O, anchorite of war.
Oh.
You who bear the qualifications, have you the confidence to accept this furious might?
Vamos a intentarlo. Yo sí.
Good. Then show me you've the strength to stand firm.
Los enemigos que golpean primero. Susano. Te ha costado. Tú puedes. Un poquito parecido a Odín, ¿eh? Pero bueno. Con su cierta diferencia, pero bueno. Ha aguantado.
Splendid.
Ya podemos jugar a Susano. Tan sencillo como eso, ¿vale? Simplemente lo quería grabar, ¿vale? Porque no he hecho más combates, o sea, sus tramas azules. Mientras entrenaba, he llegado aquí, que no me acuerdo qué es. Bueno, ahora me saqué de maná, pero bueno. Ya he pasado, ya he subido al máximo el asterisco de ocultista, artículo maestro espíritu, nivel casi 10. Pero yo aquí no me acuerdo qué es esto. Voy a grabarlo. Gravemark. ¿Qué era esto de Gravemark?
What is this place, Adia?
A very good question. I never knew there was such a village on the Eastern Passages byway.
Martha, is that you?
Huh?
Mother.
I am mistaken. You
Será la
are
madre
much
de
too
Dea.
young, though there is a resemblance. Might I have your name, young one?
Adia.
Of course. That explains the resemblance. This is the birthplace of the Lord Marshal and his wife.
El pueblo del
the
mariscal y de la
Lady
esposa.
What's this? I'd never heard of such a place before.
Why are there so many graves?
So you know not of the Great Plague? Well, perhaps it is best that way. Yes, perhaps.
¿Qué pasa? No, mi padre.
Dear, your mother and father were born right here in this village. Though they were 5 years apart, they were quite close, you know.
Supongo que el padre
They
será el mayor.
lived near each other, and their families got along quite well. It was as if they were brother and sister. At age 18, your father left to enter an elite school in the city of Eternia. He was the great hope of the village, you know, and he did all in his power not to disappoint. He eventually graduated at the head of his class and made a name for himself in the city. The pride and joy of our village he was. It was 21 years ago when your father asked for your mother's hand in marriage.
El mayor era el padre.
She just 19, and he
Esto es altacuna,
was
también te digo.
24.
Casi.
So it was, they began a new life together in this city of Eternia. It was the following year that the Great Plague struck our village, wiping out most of the residents.
Ajá.
Yes.
Que la gran plaga.
Yes.
20 años que no hago solo.
Plague, a sickness that began in eastern lands, soon spread, wreaking havoc across the world ere it reached our land. It struck the year after your parents were wed and moved to the city, you know. Once the plague took root in Gravemark village, all roads out of the village were closed.
Joder.
It was on orders from the head temple of the Crystal Orthodoxy, ruler of this land at the time. But I still believe they made the right choice. After all, the city of Eternia was spared the Great Plague's devastation. Millions upon millions across the world lost their lives in a matter of months ere the plague subsided. And I have been tending the graves ever since. Your parents paid us a visit upon the road's reopening, you know. They seemed truly sorry that their hometown had
A ver,
to be
normal.
forsaken for
El
the
sitio donde
good
nacieron, pues
of
normal
the
que tengan
city.
cariño por la zona.
Yes. You may stay.
Voy a descansar. Y el señor, la gente de este pueblo se va una a una, poco a poco. A ver. ¡Una cabra! Vale, pues no hay nada más que hacer. Voy a seguir. Vale, hace días que no estoy por aquí. Voy a seguir haciéndolo. Estoy haciendo los secundarios de Bravely Default antes de terminar el capítulo 5, ¿vale? Lo vuelvo a decir. He cambiado todos los personajes que están en el 99, todos los asteriscos que tengo disponibles están en el 99, al 14. Todo lo posible está comprado, he farmeado dinero. He cambiado, ahora tengo a Tiz con habilidades de ladrón y espadachín mágico. Agnes con espiritualista y maga blanca. Ringabel con templario y magia blanca. Y Edea con ritualismo y magia negra, ¿vale? Vamos a ello. Porque no sé si... Lo primero... Al señor le puedo robar algo. Voy a ponerme todo en defensa. No has podido robar nada, pero eso significa que tiene algo. No has podido robar nada, es que no tiene nada. Es que no me acuerdo, tío. Bueno, voy a partirle la madre. Porque ya no tengo quietud. Sufre agua, por lo tanto... Es que debería mirarlo, tío, que tiene. Por asegurarme. Más que evaluar... Le he quitado Libra a todos. Estupendo. Pues entonces nada. Si es de agua, voy a suponerme que electro. Que tampoco te creas que... Pues hecho. Se hecho. Permacristal y el... otra piedra.
We won.
Why, you have mastered my contrivance and defeated its guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the water keystone.
Perfecto.
All right. 4 more to go.
Solo 4 más. Pasa un coñazo. A ver, estoy en Floren. Vamos a ver si puedo hacer la parte del mago rojo. Parece que sí, ¿eh? Y me lo quito de en medio.
It seems women are being tricked and captured in this world as well.
We must set them all free.
Ah, but that would put me in quite the bind.
Pues te fastidias, te jodes, loco.
It's the red old man!
Now that is unfortunate.
Comunismo.
At least called me dashing, don't you think? You do realize you are trespassing. I think it's time you ran along.
We know what you are up to. You must stop using these women for your wicked ends.
Oh, do you now, my pretty little thing? Well then, go ahead and tell me what I am doing.
Pheromore toxin.
What? Well, knock me over with a feather. Just where did you hear that?
Tú.
You told us
Fuiste tú.
yourself.
I did? Just a second. Have I met you somewhere before?
No, I believe you have yet to make our acquaintance.
Feigning ignorance, are we? Very well. How much do you know?
Lo suficiente.
You use cologne containing pheromore toxin to trick and exploit women for your own gain.
Well, well. Isn't this awkward? You seem to have seen right through me. You do realize the women I woo get something out of this too, right? My techniques are truly superior. They all leave satisfied.
You filthy old man!
Oh, I thought I recognized you from somewhere. You're the Grand Marshal's daughter.
No. ¿Qué va?
Disparaging my little operation. But I'll have you know the Council of Six has given full approval.
What?
Don't you see? Your father has personally condoned this operation that you call filthy.
Lo.
I fail to see how it warrants criticism from his own blood. Have I made myself clear? Good. Now off you go, children. I have much work to do here.
We're not going anywhere. We'll not turn a blind eye to this wickedness.
Ay, ay.
So that is how you want to play it. I'll warn you, I'm not the kind to roll over easily myself. It looks like I'll have to teach you the hard way.
Pues pa'lante.
Since you're clearly incapable of managing my nickname, let's make this formal.
Yeah, we know. Captain of the Blood Rose Legion. The Red Mage. Old Man de Rosa.
Whoa, hold on there.
Pulvo radiante. Oh, vale. Fuera.
What is it?
Oh, it's just...
Does it bother you that your father approved of that man's plan?
Yes.
Not to sound like Lord De Rosa, but don't you think you are underestimating him? When we obtained the report he had written earlier, I took down the details in my journal. The Red Mage has stopped at nothing to claw his way up the ranks of the Eternian forces. You should read them again sometime.
I will.
Ya puede equiparse con el bikini bravo. ¡Ole! No entiendo por qué te lo dan así como wow. A ver. Bikini bravo. Vaya. Pero nadie puede equiparse el bikini bravo. Salvo idea. Es una tontería, no me lo voy a poner. Vale, pues vamos aquí a la madera vieja interior. Que aquí está creo que la invocadora. No me acuerdo. No, aquí está... ¿Cómo se llama esto? Es decir, templaria, no es templaria, tío. Cazadora tampoco. Higuera.
There's nobody here. This is the hidden village of the Crystalists. Why would it be empty? No. Could this be the work of the Duchy?
This place has been deserted for ages. Since well before I was sent to these lands.
What?
This is indeed the hidden village of the Crystalists. I have explored it a number of times, but I never found any trace of people living here.
Now that you mention it, it doesn't look like anyone
Un
has lived
bicho,
here for
la pantalla.
years.
Perhaps they orchestrated their own destruction.
What do you mean?
The Orthodoxy was consumed by greed and obsessed with power. They paid no heed to the people's needs. I would not be surprised if the Orthodoxy's corruption spread here, causing it to collapse from within.
I served only the crystal and knew nothing of the world until I left the temple. So I cannot know if what you say about the Orthodoxy's corruption is true. However, I know for a fact that you oppress not the Orthodoxy, but innocent Crystalists. Regardless of your lofty ideals, this cannot be forgiven.
Yes, you are right. We capture followers and force them to convert, to erode the Orthodoxy's power. We use violence to wrest them away from their beliefs. This is our goal, by fair means or foul. However, I must admit, I have grown slightly weary of the Legion's tactics.
Weary?
My sisters, Ophelia and Artemia. They have been scarred.
Mefilia la invocadora y Artemia la cazadora.
You turned your back on the Duchy, Adia. I could not excuse your conduct, but I understood your reasons. Somehow. In a way, I envied your ability to take meaningful action.
Then it is not too late for you. Leave the Blood Rose Legion and come with us. It would be a boon to have you on our side, Angeria.
That I cannot do. I cannot.
But why?
You and I learned the ways of the sword under the same master. We have been through much. We swore our blades to the service of Eternia, and pledged to fight for her future. We swore we would honor the ideals held by the Grand Marshal, and strive to bring the world he envisioned to fruition.
But the reality we face is quite different from that my father sought. Surely you must see this.
Yes. The Blood Rose Legion and the Duchy have compromised those ideals. I know this as well as you.
Then why?
No ideals can be achieved by following the path of virtue alone. I will not look back, nor buckle at the knee, no matter how dirty my hands or sorrowful my heart. I must bring his world into being. We shall build a land where all are free from the crystal curse. I must continue this thankless task. I will fight on to the end. Let us make a clean fight of it. Me and my beliefs. Against you and yours.
Vale. Preparado. Vale. Me gusta este combo, me gusta bastante, tío. Me gusta mucho cómo está todo
You've grown
bien mezclado.
stronger.
I'm here.
Why do you weep? You've bested me. Be proud.
I never wanted.
Adia, hear me now. My final request. Meet with him. With your father. Face to face. No more intermediaries. Look at him. Look at him. And you'll see it. What he seeks. I know.
I will. I swear it to you.
Good. That's good.
Vale. Estoy curado, sí. Vamos adelante. Aporta más.
We fought the ranger here.
Halt! Artemia. So you still hunt the woodland orochi here? Artemia hunts. Hunts many orochi. At Einheria's orders? Artemia obey. Only obey. Sister's orders, only truth. I see. You haven't changed. You could not stop Einheria. How Artemia live, not yours to say. How sister think, not yours to say. Artemia not tell sister how to think. How sister think, tell how Artemia live. Only sister tell how Artemia live. I understand. I've heard enough. Artemia, hunt. Hunt all prey. All in range. Artemia's prey. I said enough. Nothing runs.
Artemia no tiene nada para robar, ¿vale? Vamos a estar el turno.
As long as prey has pulse, keep firing.
Eso me ahorro.
Never miss.
Hay algunas cosas que sí quiero, por ejemplo, la hoja rúnica. La Kikuichimonji, por ejemplo. Y algunas otras cosas. De Víctor y Victoria tengo que robarle. Voy a ir full por Artemia, O sea, me importa 3 oblicuos. Vale. También te digo. Estoy metiendo 2, 3K. Ahí ya está metiendo 5 y pico. Ringabel ha metido... ¿Cuánto? ¿Cuánto ha metido Ringabel? 2000, de 2000 a 4000. Ahora está metiendo 3000 por daño. Una exageración.
It's made of what? And toxic what's more? I'll I'll work to spread the word. With luck, this lunacy will cease soon.
Oh, a tomar viento. A ver. Agnes contra Edea. Esas palabras son inaceptables hasta para ti, Edea. Ahora, por favor, retira lo que has dicho. Nunca. No pienso ceder ni un ápice en este asunto. Está muy claro, blanco y negro, sin medias tintas. Vaya, Agnes y Edea tienen una gran discusión. Esto no se ve a menudo. ¿Qué habrá pasado? ¿Alguna idea, Tiz? Pregúntaselo tú mismo. Veo que tú también estás en forma. ¿Qué os pasa? ¿Cómo puedes decir que es lo mejor, Agnes? Tus argumentos no tienen ningún sentido. ¿Y qué me dice de ti, Edea? Para ti todo es simple. Todo es siempre blanco o negro. Nunca he visto tanta obstinación. Sigo sin entenderlo. ¿Te importa explicármelo, Tiz? Que se lo preguntes tú mismo. Natilla de crema de fresa batida al horno. No. Barquillos de alubias dulces. Los dos son postres. ¿Qué os estáis peleando? ¿Por ver qué postre es mejor? Básicamente. Ñam, ñam. ¿Qué estás comiendo? Natilla de fresa de crema de fresa batida con barquillos de alubias dulces. ¿Te las has hecho tú? Sí, pero solo he combinado los dos postres. Está muy rico, la verdad. Eres irritante. ¿Yo? Tú sí que eres irritante. Me dan pena. Y tú también, Tiz. Pero bueno, ¿yo qué he hecho? Con esto nos toca la invocadora.
What?
Who are you?
Ahí está.
Nephilia.
Nephilia.
It's Idea! Filthy thing, toying with my sister's heart. I've never seen so dirty a hypocrite. My sister loved you. Oh, but I'm not blaming you. This is far better than the way you used to be. It's so hideous, so deliciously twisted. I feel nauseous just speaking to you.
Me da un rollo esta tía a que no sé.
These fairies are incredibly important to Florum's people. How can you do this?
Yo con ella en una petición no me quedaría. Y a Jura, menos todavía.
This way, full of platitudes, happy lies. Always so pretty. So pretty you reek of rot and decay. Keep away, Idea. All humankind is dirty. A fine pack of filthy pigs. That girl with you, Idea. That is the Wind Vestal, is it not? Just how long do the two of you intend to feign trust? How long till the facades drop? What will it look like, I wonder? The moment all the little platitudes that hold you lot together start to crumble.
Rumble.
Show me! Quickly, quickly! Let me see your end.
Menos más que no hay ningún combate que diga solo me tengo que enfrentar con dos. Bueno. Está muy bien la pasiva que le he puesto a Tiz, ¿eh? Joder, mire que te cagas. Vale. GG.
And now, the hands that killed me are stained in blood.
Lo siento, Tiz.
Good. Knowing that I've sullied you is enough. So, where is it that you hail from? I know. You are not
Nos... A ver,
of
hay
this
ciertas
world.
personas que saben que no somos de este mundo.
Where
Pero también esta.
are you? Where?
She seemed to know what had happened to us.
It cannot have been pure conjecture. If only we could have questioned her further.
Me acabo de cruzar otro pilar. ¿Vale? Está junto al lado del viejo Juliana. A ver qué tal va. Dragón divino. Voy a suponer que no se le puede dar nada, ¿eh? ¿Le puedo meter un aspir? ¿Qué hace? Perfecto. Hostia, me ha venido en tierra como, vamos, como una mala cosa, ¿eh? Vale.
You have defeated my guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the light keystone.
Oh.
All right. 3 more to go.
Quedan 3. Y una está al lado del fuente Graf. Al lado del fuerte. Vale. Vale. Estamos donde la guarida del ladrón. Vamos a enfrentarnos contra él. Creo que a este hay que robarle también. Pero son los sandalias, creo. Es el chacal, ¿no? Chacal y King. No tiene nada que robarle. Estoy dándolo a la 1:15 de la mañana, ¿vale? Por eso estoy hablando bajo y otra pesca.
You are accosting the townspeople who come to draw water at the oasis at the merchantry's bidding. Also, the Kammer and Profiter merchantry can make money. This is pure selfishness.
Huh? What's with you people? My head's about to split open. What about proof? Can you prove I'm behind this?
There's your evidence.
What? How did you get a hold of this? Criminy! Everything's going down the drain! I can't handle this thirst! You lot have come here to take everything from me, eh? Hypocrites like you always rush about, sword in hand, ready to fleece the last penny from the likes of me without a second thought. My worthless parents were born victims who lost everything they had. In the end, they cast me aside and left me to die. So there's me, still a kid, all by my lonesome in the desert. I was taken in by what I thought were good people. But they turned out to be scum, just like my parents. They just wanted to make a quick buck off me. Once I was worthless to them, I was out on my backside. Do you know who saved me in the end? A band of thieves. Now isn't that something? They took from others, but gave me a reason to live. It was them who taught me that to make it, you have to be the exploiter, not the exploited. So that's what I do. I won't give that up for a bunch of pretenders like you.
Ha intentado a pegarnos.
Ah, Chief, perfect timing.
Baleful.
No problem.
Voy a ir full bandido.
My contract ends here. I'll take my leave.
What? Chief, I don't understand.
Your odds are poor, and I don't take poor clients.
Go then! They all abandoned me in the end.
Está ya muy bajo de vida o si no ha muerto. No estará nada, ¿no?
Cripes! If only I could see one last time. Not my parents. The boss.
Vale. Otro hecho.
We've defeated a man who admits he is rotten to the core. Yet I feel bad about it for some reason.
Pues
I
menos mal.
understand. But nothing can justify what he's done.
También hay que ver la tesitura en la que estaba el colega, ¿sabes? Vale, estamos en el lugar donde estaba el del... O sea, el mago negro. Vale, vamos a pegarle una tremenda paliza. ¿Es curado? Sí, estoy curado. Vamos a pegarle una paliza. Hola.
It cannot be! Idea! With the wind vestal and her followers? No, that can't be right. Impossible!
What are you talking about?
First, I'd like you to answer a question, Ominous. When did I leave the Knights of the Eternian Sky?
Ah! She speaks! I must be hearing things, that's it!
Black Mage. Ominous Crow.
Creo que no le va a poder sacar nada, ¿eh? Cuidado.
Be quiet! Don't talk to me! You can't be real, so leave me alone! I know what to do. I'll just incinerate your soul till nothing is left!
Bueno. Vamos a pegar un
With you people! Stay away from me! It's
Vale.
just not right! It's cheating of it!
Me puedo
Do you
poner
despise me that much?
una cosa
It's all your
con
fault
Agnes.
anyway. Yeah, that's it. You're the ones to blame.
¿A este le puedo sacar algo? Perfecto.
I did nothing wrong.
No, ya lo sé que no hiciste usted nada malo. Pero no sé. Estás muerto. Ok. Hecho.
There should be no more fires in town now.
No debería, cierto.
I was serving under the Black Mage Ominous Crow when you first met me, right?
Sí.
It occurred to me when we came to this world that perhaps there's another version of me here. But she's nowhere to be found. I wonder why.
I'm sure there will be other discrepancies between this world and the last.
For instance, why did Ominous look so afraid of me back there? He did seem strangely fearful.
I think I have an idea.
Huh? What's that, ring a bell?
This is just a guess, but perhaps in this world, Idea's anger at the heresy of the Black Mage came to a head. She may have given him a sound beating, then left this place.
¿Tú crees?
That sounds like something Idea would do. It would also explain how scared he looked.
I'll admit, even if you had not shown up in the previous world, I would probably still have left the Eternian Sky Knights. But you make me sound like a hothead who lashes out without warning.
Do not worry, Idea. You may be quick to anger, but your other charms make up for it.
Al final te la llevas, Ringa. Al final te la llevas.
Some compliment that is.
Al final te la llevas tú. Vamos a por otro señor. Que este es... ¿Cómo se llamaba?
And so the traitor
Henkel.
crawls out of the woodwork. I know not who your companions are, Adia, but you had better change your tune or else. For better or worse, you are the Grand Marshal's daughter, and still hold at least some sway in the duchy. Your fickle whims could lead to the destruction of our realm. You must understand the position in which you are placed.
He doesn't seem to realize I am the Wind Vestal.
The king has not been captured either. Why?
Adia,
No sé.
you know full well what will happen if you revolt against the duchy. Consider this carefully. Do you really intend to take up with these ruffians who accompany you?
They're no ruffians. They are my friends. I could not follow the path the Knights of the Eternian Sky had taken. So I set out to see the world with my own eyes. And now I have settled things with my father. But perhaps that was all a dream?
Your words make no sense. It disturbs me that you think there can be any excuse for your actions. You shall have to learn the resolve of a knight, the hard way. Your father judged you to have come of age. That is why he assigned you to the Alternian Sky Knights. But you throw it back in his face. For shame.
Se relaja, ¿eh? Sacrificio. 90, 180 o 170. Tengo maná suficiente. Muerte.
My sword was not up to the task.
Yeah. Una poción aquí. También eso. El robo no me hubiera interesado.
Sorry, Lord Marshal. I could not stop your daughter.
Vaya. You did it. Me recuerda a alguien. En que le ha cambiado mucho, ¿verdad? Ojalá pudiésemos haber pasado más tiempo hablando y escuchándonos. Me recuerda a alguien. ¿A quién? A alguien con un sentido de la justicia muy fuerte y que se enfada con facilidad. Y que cuando toma una decisión no duda en llegar hasta el final. Oh. ¿Y quién es? Alguien con quien nunca puedes tener una conversación relajada. Pero no voy a decir con quién habla o no. Tú, hija mía, eres tú. Vamos con este pilar para conseguir la cuarta piedra de luz. No sé qué tipo es, pero para adelante. Vale. ¿Cómo se nota que no he metido sacrificio, eh? 2000 menos o algo así. Un poquito menos, unos 1800, 1600. Pero uff, se nota. Vale, pues hecho. A ver qué me habla este tío.
We won.
You have defeated my guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the Dark Keystone.
Vale, pues perfecto.
All right. 2 more to go.
Yeah. Tenemos uno al lado del fuerte Garp. Y el otro no sé dónde está.
The king again.
Vale.
All is going according to plan. The entire kingdom grovels at my feet, Kent. Is it not brilliant, Spellpincer?
Yes. Perhaps you are right, Camer the Eighth. Or should I say, Elok the Time Mage.
There is no perhaps about it. It is hard fact.
Elok
More will prosper
Camer.
themselves before me over time. Through my collaboration with Profiteur's merchantry, the price of water has surged. The people suffer greatly. The public service I have ordered will surely be a burden to them. The more I steer their discontent toward the wind vessel.
Pero sigue estando la Vestal o no, porque es que da como la sensación de que está viva, no está viva, ha pasado, no ha pasado.
With any luck, she will never return. Without the Vestal, the people can devote themselves fully to their king. It is only a matter of time before believers
Parece como que la Vestal de este mundo ha caído por el precipicio.
I shall become the supreme power here, and under the banner of anti-crystalism, the kingdom of Ansheim shall thrive. With me as ruler, this kingdom can last 1,000 years. How delightful it will be!
Do you think it will be that easy?
Do not be such a bore. You'd be wise not to rain on my parade.
My apologies.
Y teniendo en cuenta que le paga, le puedo decir lo que quiera. Desmonetización.
Regardless, I am here.
Vamos para adelante.
Everything.
And Just what did you supposedly hear? What new slander is this?
You're a poor actor, King.
You have some proof, then? Some evidence to show that I made these comments? Ha!
He's like a child caught in a lie.
No, of course no such proof exists. I know you lot are plotting to tear me from the throne, but it won't work. It won't.
Vamos a ver, chavalito. ¿Tú crees que tengo yo ganas de robarte?
Is this what you call leadership?
Ya no me falta profiteo, ¿no?
We came through the secret passage in the giant clock. We know that you and Profiteur are in cahoots.
I trust you did not see anyone but soldiers on your way here.
What do you mean?
I see. Well then, not a soul will miss you if you and your companions die here, wind vessel.
You horrid beast!
Do not let any leave here in one piece, sir. You can name your reward.
Then we have a contract. If price is no object, I shall place all on the line for this.
Vale, lo primero que tengo que hacer es robar.
There is no place for you here, Vestal.
Esa lanza no la tengo yo, ¿eh? Ni esa vara. Lo que sea eso, no lo tengo. ¿Ves?
I'll give my throne to no one. No one.
Just a bit.
Arreando.
Still, the money has been worth it.
Vale. Es un largo combate, tío. Moderado y quitar el turbo. De todas maneras, creo que tengo todo.
I see. I regret my failure to see through the former king's misdeeds.
Where will the kingdom go from here? How will it function in the absence of its king?
I will take up the mantle of governance for the time being, though that is no lasting solution. Ansheim will have to change. With luck, it will become a land led by its people for the benefit of all.
Básicamente esto va a quedar como, como en el
That it will
anterior
never
bucle.
be a welcome home to you and your companions, Lady Vestal. We will pray for your safe journey. Go, and bring your light to all the world.
Vale, aquí donde estaba Profitero vamos a partirle la cara. Era mercader, ¿no? Sí.
Ah, good day. I believe this is our first meeting, yes? I am the chairman of the Camel and Profiteur Merchantry.
Which is a front. You are a Rutus Profiteur, merchant of death. We see right through you.
Where does this come from? You are a strange girl.
No, no,
You
va a
have
engañar.
conspired with the Time Mage Kammer, king of Ansheim, to monopolize the well here. And you hired desert thieves to attack those who went to the oasis for water.
You have no evidence.
¿Cómo no? ¿Y estos papeles qué?
We have proof. A note containing instructions to the thieves, and another mentioning a hidden passage to the palace.
Impossible! What is going on? Why would this fall into your hands? You
Tenemos
have
poder.
skulked into my place of work. You dastardly fiends. Fine, you have unmasked me, but this changes nothing. I will never let you leave.
Me he
here
mirado lo de
alive.
la de la hoja runa, la hoja runa, Claro, como aquí yo me he cargado a King, ya no sale. A ver,
Gold! That is all you need. It buys status, fame, anything.
Listo.
nastier than before, don't you think?
Un poco, pero bueno.
It's not like he was doing anything differently, though.
I felt it. His words grated more than in the previous world.
I feel more relieved we have beaten him too.
Vale, aquí tenemos unos pilar más. Vamos a pegarle de putiazos. También el ritmo de combate es completamente distinto al de antes. Que iba mucho más saco y ahora estoy pensando más cada turno o lo siguiente. Ganamos, ganamos. Vale, me queda uno.
I shall grant you the fire keystone.
Me queda una y no sé dónde, Es de así. Vale, he estado un buen rato buscándolo y soy solo normal. He dicho, al lado de Amchin hay un pilar. Lo hacemos. ¿Lo he hecho? No. Vamos allá. Es el último. Cayó el último dragón. Ya tengo las 6 piedras. Las 6 llaves, Oh, por fin.
You have defeated my guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the wind keystone.
Del viento.
Right. We have them all now. Let's return to Vampire Castle with haste.
Tenemos un gran combate ahora después. Pero tengo que ir a jugar, tengo que terminar alguna cosa. Y tenemos aquí una misión secundaria. A ver qué es. ¿De acuerdo? Supongo que esto es lo del pirata.
Yes. A strange ship has been appearing in this harbor ever since the start of the war. It's a decrepit old sailing ship, and it always shows up on foggy nights.
Esto es la del... La esta del pirata.
No, it's just an eerie sight, though you can hear screams coming from it.
Qué calor, no sé qué, voy a beber agua.
It's still prowling around.
Es el pirata. Vale. Mientras esperamos que se haga de noche, vamos a hacer esto, que es la de la cantante.
Welcome, Wind Vestal. I see you have companions too. Well met. I am Daniel Goodman, commander of the Shield Bearers.
¿Qué pasa, Dani? ¿Es buen hombre?
I must apologize on behalf
Hostia,
of my
queda
soldiers.
también
They did
la
not know
ninja.
who you were when they stopped you.
No need to apologize. After all, you were kind enough to grant us the audience we sought.
I am happy to accommodate you. Now, what is it I can help you with?
We have come to these lands to journey to the Temple of Fire and awaken the crystal.
El cristal ya está despierto.
The Temple of Fire. I am afraid that...
Yes, we are aware, but we have already awakened the fire crystal.
What? But the way there was blocked by lava.
That is right. We entered the temple through a passage deep within the Mithril mine.
You should dispatch soldiers to the Mithril mine swiftly to ensure it is not taken by the sword bearers.
Understood. You have outdone yourself, Wind Vestal. I am impressed.
Oh, would you be able to grant us permission to stay in Heartschild?
Of course. The shield bearers welcome the Vestal and her companions. Feel free to rest your travel-weary...
Vale, ya tenemos acceso a entrar a Heartschild.
Someone, show the Vestal and her companions the way.
Pero tengo que cagarme a la cantante.
What can I help you with?
Ocúpame de eso.
Oh, look! The Wind Vestal and her merry band have graced us with their presence. We haven't come to hear you sing, if that's what you think.
Oh, please! I'm sure you heard rumors of my voice and couldn't help but come to see for yourself. Because we all know won't get your way so easily. I'm afraid it's futile. My personal guard would gladly die for me. Isn't that right, darling?
Bien, por ti. Creo que no tengo nada que robarle a esta señora.
Thank you all. Let's sing a little tune then. Love in the crossfire. Set my sights against you tonight, love.
45.
Not so fast.
Genial. Puedo robar un colgante estrella.
What are you doing? This isn't on the set list. Nobody can hear my song now. I'll just have to sing louder.
Colgante estrella. No te creas que es gran cosa, ¿eh? Creo que es...
This isn't working.
Objetos y equipo. Accesorios.
How's that?
Colgante estrella. Anula veneno. Mira, pasando.
Why are you being so mean? You're supposed to worship the ground I walk on. Oh, kick the wind vessel and that other riffraff out of here.
Sí, sí. Voy. Vale. A partir de ahora. Perfecto. Para adelante. Pues hecho esto, se acabó. Un problema menos.
How could you? I was born to perform. I only wanted my songs to be heard. That does it. I'm going back to ordinary life.
No, Bailey! Don't leave us!
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Chica, tu
The
culpa.
plan went off without a hitch. You drowned her out completely. We should suffer much less attrition on the Eisen Bridge from now on.
De nada, tío.
You've done us a great service.
Perfecto. Vámonos a... conversación. Conservadora Agnes. Esa chica era increíble. Esa voz tan despreocupada por y su movimiento tan mono. Y sus canciones daban ganas de levantarse y ponerse a bailar. Quizás sea causa de pasar tantos años en el templo, pero no me acaba de gustar la música tan ruidosa. Vaya, ¿te ha parecido ruidosa, Agnes? Sí, hace que me dé vuelta la cabeza. Agnes, lo que tienes que hacer es soltarte un poco. Eres demasiado estirada. ¿No es un poco raro dejarse llevar por el ritmo y dar tumbos como los demás? ¿Raro? Para nada. Es divertido bailar sin preocupaciones. Además, ¿no dijo alguien una vez la cosa más importante del mundo es divertirse? Si siempre eres tan seria, te perderás las cosas realmente importantes. Ah, yo sí que he olvidado algo importante. Estaba tan absorto en la música que se me olvidó acercarme a hablar con ella. Por supuesto, su problema es que se divierte demasiado. Vale, pues nos vamos a Unchained. No. Unchained no. Bueno, ¿me entendéis? Vamos a la ciudad. Vamos a ver si puedo hacer la parte de... la ninja. Y ya está.
I am Commander Goodman's wife. Please call me Eleanor. My husband has told me to receive you and your companions as guests of state, Vestal. Please make yourselves at home. Unfortunately, in a time of war, the hospitality I can provide is limited.
No te preocupes.
There's no need to go to any trouble for us.
Conversación. Oye, Bea, ¿no nos pidió la tabernera que le hiciéramos un recado? ¡Ah! Casi olvido la lista de la compra. Daz y Zad también tienen algunas peticiones. Esta debe ser la lista de Daz. Vamos a ver. Carne para salchicha y salami de hard. 2 barriles de cada. ¿Todo eso para él solo? Y Zad quiere queso con agujero. ¿Por qué no me sorprende? ¿Y la tabernera? ¿Qué quería ella? Un barril de panceta, un puñado de sal de roca de Eisen y 5 barriles de patata. Ahora que lo pienso, creo que es demasiado peso para que lo llevemos nosotros. Aún por algo más, los regalos son para la esposa del comandante y cualquier vecino que os ayude. ¿Regalos? Eso es, me lo digo antes de irnos del grandeza. Un barril lleno hasta los topes de algas y pescados secos. Este pueblo está rodeado de volcanes en plena guerra civil. Seguro que estarán encantados de llevarse a la boca algo de comida marina. La temenera está en todo. ¿Y si esta vez le compramos también un regalo a ella? Buena idea. Vale, pero... hostia. No está el combate contra la ninja, ¿eh? Supongo... ¿Se activará después del de Fork? Ah, no. Ahora sí me sale.
I've been expecting you.
Oh, Commander Goodman. Good to
Joder.
see you made it home.
Qué atino.
I came as soon as I could when I heard the Wind Vestal was holding a banquet in my honor.
A banquet?
My wife is also most pleased. You can see she's all in a bustle getting things...
Commander Goodman, please call your wife in here at once.
What? But why?
Ah, no, caso, anda.
Just do it, please. Eleanor!
We were too late.
No, there may still be time. Just play along, everyone. Okay?
Vale, venga, a ver, tú mandas. Confiamos en ti.
What is wrong?
Something terrible has happened. It's Nastasia.
Natasha.
She's dead.
¡No!
Nastasia is dead. She was not breathing and had no pulse.
We believe a blow to the back of her head with a blunt object is what killed her. But we haven't found a weapon.
We've placed her body in bed for now.
I'm more concerned at the fact that the front door...
Won't open, right? This is all feeling very familiar.
What do we do?
We cannot let anyone get killed needlessly. Let us head to the bedroom.
Commander Goodman, I must ask you and the others to stay here.
Vale.
But what is going on?
Lo entenderás, lo sabrás a su verdadero tiempo.
What? Commander Goodman and Officer Neuer were killed?
Who could have done it?
It could be the covert unit of the Black Blades. Perhaps one of them disguised themselves as the servant.
Lo sabrá a su debido tiempo.
How the heck?
As we thought.
So you have discovered my rooms. I never expected you to notice I was merely posing as a corpse.
Joder, y luego yo me quejo porque hablo rápido, ¿sabes?
Just as I suspected.
It is our second time around.
I
Cállate.
had to slay my mark. Trust the Wind Vessel and her troop to show up at the worst possible time. Well, it seems I have no choice, but...
Yeah, we know. You can skip the speech, Konoe Kikyo.
Y hasta la conocemos, ¿eh? Pelea.
Here she comes.
No, ¿tú crees? ¿Esta tiene algo para robar? Yo tengo más turnos. Ah, vale. Joder. Que ya queda mucho más. Un kunai. ¿Me das un kunai? ¿En serio me das un kunai? Otra verga.
Any last words before you meet your maker?
Pues parece que no.
So, the ninja chooses to remain silent upon her death?
You think? It looks like she has something to say. Look, she's changed her disguise again.
I used the turmoil as the war drew to a close to finally round up the shield-bearer commander and his 2 top officers. But all of my effort has been for naught. All was going to plan until I used the wind vessel to lure my victims. And you all come sauntering in out of nowhere and...
Lo que tiene, muchacho.
ruin everything. That is the last time I trust Alternis for information. I pitted Officers Steiner and Neuer against each other. For all that time. Yet you got me in the end. Wind Vestal.
Y ahora sí, ¿no? Vale. Qué
She
dramática.
got that off her chest quick.
Qué dramática la señora, por Dios.
Wind Vestal, What on earth is going on?
Yes, indeed. Without an explanation, we are all in the dark.
Well, to put it plainly, a ninja of the Black Blades had disguised herself as the servant Nastasia and plotted to kill you all.
She used the Wind Vestal's name to get you here. We were able to stop her in time, though.
Astounding! Then those invitations...
Toda falsa.
Completely fabricated.
How could this happen? The shield bearers almost suffered a tremendous loss.
Mucho.
How did you see through the enemy's ruse, Wind Vestal?
She saw a vision.
Ah.
Wait, Medea!
Let it go. It's not too far from the truth, after all. Oh, one more thing, Eleanor.
Yes?
You would do well to check the cellar. You may find Nastasia tied up down there.
I will.
I guess that's case closed then.
Pues supongo.
Thank you so much, Lady Vestal. You have done us a great service.
Yes. Well...
Vale, pues creo que vamos a enfrentarnos contra... Sí, es contra Kada.
Curses! After all the glory I brought them, packed me off to the boondocks to patch up wounded soldiers. All's fair in war.
Bueno, matar a tus propios compañeros, hijo mío.
Must be achieved at all costs. That is what war is all about.
Right you are.
Show respect for the enemy. The goal is not simply to kill. Bah! He's far too old to spout such childish nonsense. Pride and honor are merely shackles on the battlefield.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bueno, si tú lo dices.
A sword around in battle makes him superior. What an outmoded concept.
If anyone deserves credit, it's you, Dr. Kata. You treat not only your wounded allies, but the wounded shield bearers who fought against you. I have to admire you for that.
Oh. Do you really think so? Yes, you are quite right.
No te soporto mucho, la verdad.
Is that by order of the Sword Master?
Of course not. He would never approve of such actions. I have used my own judgment in this case.
Really? But what if word gets out? You get in trouble, Dr. Kata.
No, do not worry about me. I merely seek to treat as many of the wounded as I can.
Did you hear that?
Sabemos que Kada es un hijo de puta. No podemos discutirlo de otra manera.
Do you think he actually has a heart?
No.
We heard what you had to say for yourself.
¿Pero qué le vamos a hacer?
What? Who goes there?
¿Quién es de
My
ahí?
name is Adia Lee.
Adia Lee? You can't mean you're the Grand Marshal's daughter?
No.
That aside, is it true
Soy de la mujer del comandante, pero no soy la hija del comandante. ¿Tú qué crees?
Why? Can it be that you truly have a heart? Do you seek to aid the masses?
Voy a bajar un puntito la luz.
So, then help us end this war.
Oh, qué descanso de vista.
Oh, that is rich! The very idea makes me laugh!
What?
You are somewhat misguided. Can you not understand that I need as many live bodies as possible for my experiments?
Live bodies? Experiments?
Exactly!
Eres muy cansino, Kada, tío.
Dr. Kata, salve maker. From weapons of mass murder to tonics of resurrection. There is no salve I cannot make,
But when it comes to testing my concoctions, there are many obstacles. I cannot simply use wounded allies as specimens, can I? It is far cheaper and more efficient to use captured enemies. Do you not agree?
I should have known you were the monster I always took you for. I've been thoroughly duped.
Where is the master sample of your deadly toxin?
Oh, that. I'm afraid the Swordmaster has confiscated it. Not to worry, though. I still remember the recipe right down to the tiniest detail. I can craft more when needed and give those shield bearers another dose of my medicine.
We must put an end to him now.
Of course.
Es que el único que me da ganas de matar es a Cada. Ha sonado gong, como si fuera un tonel de agua. Bastante rápido y sencillo me he hecho este. Pero vale. Me sirve.
No, it cannot end here. I have left so many experiments undone.
Pues experimenta en el otro mundo.
Toxins could kill you in seconds.
Lo sabemos, por eso están muertos. Este no me gusta mucho, pero bueno, vamos allá. Hay que hacerlo.
So the fire crystal has been awakened.
Hace rato ya.
It has all been in vain. The war we started in this realm. The deaths of both ally and foe.
¿Y qué hacemos, tío?
The demise of the fire vestal. Do you not think so? You who resemble a disciple I once
¿Tú qué te parece a la que fue mi discípula preferida?
You introduced me to the way of the sword, Master. You taught me many things. About values, standards, and good and evil. It's fair to say you had a great influence on me. My father was always concerned about his work and his ideals. He found little time to spend with me. Tell me, Master, were the things you told me about righteousness, strength, and bravery all lies? That we should help the helpless and face strong foes without flinching? I cannot fathom why you have lit the fires of war in this realm, causing strife to so many innocents. I still find it hard to believe. This is not the man I know. He would never do this!
You let sentiment cloud your mind, Adia. You are still as earnest as you were when you were a youth. You never waver in your disgust for recreant behavior. You condemn all that runs counter to your beliefs without fail. In a way, you remind me of your father.
What?
Pero entre la calor y esto me estoy agotando. Pero hay que seguir.
There are no certainties in life. Righteousness and truth have a different meaning to each and every one of us. If you try to see the world as merely black or white, you'll lose sight of its true nature.
Many are quick to treat us as children. But they simply use that as an excuse for their own corruption.
A warrior's pride is not always compatible with the responsibilities of a commander, Adia. If I could act as I see fit, everything would be easy. But that is not the case. The same goes for your father. And someday, for the wind vestal you accompany.
Oh. Don't compare her to you or my father. Agnes acts for the good of the world.
She fights to carry out her mission, no? Blood and tears are shed in its name. It is no different for your father or me.
Mission? No different? You and your soldiers plunged the world into turmoil. You started a war and took the lives of so many. How can you say Agnes is like you?
If If you cannot see beyond the surface, then perhaps you will never understand. Do not be so blind. You must not lose sight of what is most important. I thought I had taught you that.
Enough sophistry. It is underhanded.
Then there is nothing left to be said. I shall let my faithful blade do the talking.
Un minuto de casquera, por favor, Pelea. Vamos a ver. ¿Tú dónde eres? ¿Este debe robarle? Sí. La puta madre. Sin duda, el combate más difícil de todos los que he hecho hasta ahora.
Master.
Música triste.
Well fought. I underestimated your conviction. Will you hear your master out one last time, Adia?
Of course.
Take the time to speak with your father properly. If you do not, I see nothing but tragedy for you both. End this petty dissent between father and child.
Master.
You two were always so difficult.
Master.
Vale, pues estamos en el palacio. A ver al padre. Ya están aquí. Esto... Víctor y Victoria. Un placer veros de nuevo. Te conmino a usar todo tu poder. Victoria, no te contenga.
Too much? How ungainly. Enough! You'll only hurt yourself at this rate.
You finally speak and it's out of concern for me. You need to learn your place.
Nosotros te hemos avisado.
Worms.
Victoria!
Victor,
Hay un dicho que dice: el que avisa no es traidor. Nosotros te hemos avisado.
Victor.
Silence, if you please. She would likely perish if we were to disturb her now.
It's happening again.
Again? What do you mean?
Oh, I was just thinking out loud.
Allow me to tell you a story, if I may. Once upon a time, in a place not of this land, there was an orphan child suffering an incurable disease. Her name was Victoria.
¿Cómo no?
Though still a child, she was abhorred by those around her due to her affliction. As the Orthodox.
Y tú no podías darle de lado y la cogiste.
The Orthodoxy?
She was taken in and raised by the Orthodoxy soon after her birth.
This is new.
She She simply waited upon her inevitable demise, all the while gasping in pain and despair. Then, a chance meeting changed her life. On death's door and abandoned, she was found by the Grand Marshal, who wandered the lands after renouncing the Orthodoxy himself. He took her to Juliana, nursed her to health, then brought her to this realm for treatment.
My father did this?
How can you not know, as his daughter?
He never spoke a word of this.
Were it not for his lordship, her fragile life would have soon been snuffed out. I was pulled from my studies on the Earth Crystal to treat her. With the help of my father, who studied the amplification of white magic, she survived. But the treatment was not yet perfected, and she was left with terrible side effects. She suffers from periodic fits, which cause her body to writhe in pain. Her dread of these fits eventually caused her to lose all control over her emotions. But perhaps the most significant side effect was the cessation of her physical growth. Since my father and I began her treatment here, she has always had the childlike form you see.
If she is in such pain, how can you force her to use her powers?
I do not need you to tell me that. After the death of my father, I took over his research and have poured my heart into healing her body. But
Me parece que no
I
tiene.
relieve her agony, no matter how I tried. Each time her tiny form is racked with pain, I ask myself, knowing the result, would I still have intervened as I did? But ever is my answer the same. As long as I draw breath, I will see that she does too. No matter how she suffers, I will not allow her to die.
Creo que voy a ir a por
She is
Víctor.
both my crime and my redemption, my ego, my joy. I dedicate my entirety to her, and know no greater pleasure.
What nonsense.
Te calles.
Really, Victor? That was so boring and really long, too.
Forgive me, Victoria. How do you fare now?
Back to my old self. But I don't think I could take another one of those fits. Now, let's take care of these fools once and for all.
Stop it! What is the point of us fighting?
La que va a morir eres tú.
Because you disgust me, Adia.
Oye, por favor,
What? That is reason enough to fight? No. I wish to see your corpses splayed before me, fools!
¿Se ha intentado? Bueno, que...
My treatment will stop.
Perdón.
The next
Up.
that I have will be my last. So, with the short time I have left, I'd like nothing more than to crush you all!
Bueno. Lo intentarás.
Victor, do not leave me alone.
Qué combate turra, tío. Qué combate turra. He robado todo. Así que nada, fuera. Nos toca pegarle de frente.
So you have come then.
Claro.
This is the Wind Vestal, I take it. Younger than I expected.
Oh.
I am indeed Agnes Oblige, the Wind Vestal. I did not expect to face you again like this.
¿Again?
Again, you say?
It does not matter.
¿Este hay que robarle algo? Excalibur, creo, ¿no? Bueno,
But your hatred of the crystal orthodoxy and oppression of
se puede robar.
I cannot forgive. Why do you use force against them? Was discussion not an option? Do your ideals include spreading the flames of war, causing many innocent people to suffer? You did what you did to save Mother, right?
Enough, Itia! You clearly do not understand my motives.
I don't?
I lost faith in the Orthodoxy 20 years ago. The same year that the Great Plague swept through all of Luxembourg. The plague made its fury felt even here in Eternia, and many people died.
Luxembourg era el pueblecito que está al lado de Eternia.
Using the Earth Crystal to amplify the effects of white magic, the plague could have been eliminated. But my pleas to use this option fell on deaf ears time after time. Instead, the Orthodoxy sealed off the roads, letting the plague decimate village after village. They claim to be our savior, yet leave people to die by the thousands just to save themselves.
So you took action, Father?
But the corruption of the Orthodoxy is trivial compared to the great secret of the crystals.
Secret?
When I left the Orthodoxy and met the sage in Ilyana, I was taught the secret of the crystals. If misused, the crystals could bring about the end of the world.
What? What are you talking about? The crystals are the light of humanity delivered through the prayers of the vessels through the ages.
You are not wrong. But that is merely one facet of the crystals, Windvestal. I could not entrust crystals with the power to end all existence to the Orthodoxy, whose only interest is self-preservation. Then, my worst fears came true. 15 years ago, the leaders of the Orthodoxy attempted the Grand Ritual for the sole purpose of enhancing their prestige.
The Grand Ritual?
Es un tema serio.
The Orthodoxy would never use the power of the crystals in such a selfish manner.
Our reports suggested the Earth Crystal was extremely unstable by that point. If the Grand Ritual were conducted, Eternia could have faced destruction.
So you attacked the headquarters of the Orthodoxy and the Temple of Earth to stop this Grand Ritual, Father?
However, we were too late. By the time we got there, the Grand Ritual was already underway. Because of this, the Earth Crystal has been leaking power for the past 15 years.
So you prevented a crisis by tapping its power for the medical arts.
You finally understand. There may have been another way, I admit. But my feelings for my hometown and wife likely spurred me toward this solution. Windvestal, your awakening of the crystals may have edged us toward the heroine.
You have it wrong! We awakened the crystals to save the world from the harrowing!
That is merely the Orthodoxy's view. I do not know what deceit lies behind it. I cannot allow those who act without proper understanding to tamper with the crystals. I won't waste my breath discussing it further.
Father!
Ni padre ni leche. Sí. Tía, qué pesado con la maldito default, Oh.
Brave!
Su madre.
Mother!
So, you have come.
I'm sorry, Brave. This is all my fault.
Do not be absurd. This is hardly your doing.
Brave.
Windvestal. With these wounds, I shall never wield a blade again.
Oh, lo siento. Se metió
I entrust the crystal
10 entierros o algo así.
to the Vestal. I have said my piece. Now it is for the Vestal to decide. I trust you will make the right decision. Do not summon the Pillar of Light. You must not.
Brave! It's okay. He has lost consciousness, but swift treatment should save his life.
Yo no meto un cura blue que le meto. Que lo revivo.
You look calm, Adia. It's as if you've grown up all at once. I do not blame you, you know. You must follow the path you believe is right, just as your father has done. Wind Vestal.
Yes.
You are not bound by the words of my husband. But do not discount them either. You are the last surviving Vestal. You are the hope that guides our people. Do not follow one belief blindly. Hear what others have to say before making your decision.
I will take your words to heart.
Thank you. You should go then.
Look after father, mother.
I will, of course.
Teniendo en cuenta que la madre necesitaba también tratamiento, está complicado. Hola señores, antes de ponernos con Lord de Rosso, con el vampiro, he cogido el barco, mi barco, y me he puesto a volar hacia allá, ¿de acuerdo? Y me ha sorprendido una cosa. En la pestaña esta de aquí de la derecha, ¿vale? De la izquierda abajo, que lo veis aquí abajo, me salía el barco y le he dado. Y me ponía abordar barco volador. Y digo, ¡ay! ¿Qué es eso? Y resulta que tiene tiendas. Que es grandeza total. Y todas las veces que he dicho, la última magistral de grandeza, seguramente cuando complete todas las subtramas, están disponibles. No, están en el barco original. Ya he comprado Lázaro Plus, Lázaro Plus, Santux. He comprado Tinieblas, he comprado Asesino, he comprado Necro, Gravedad Plus, Auto Lázaro y Meteo. Soy muy listo. También hay una hacha aquí y he comprado lo que me faltaba. Nada, soy gilipollas. Vale, señores, ya estamos en la puerta, ¿vale? Del Lord de Rosso. Ya tenemos todo, o sea, las 6 llaves de piedra, perdón. Así que vamos para adentro y pegar la tremenda paliza. Pop, 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 pling.
Did you hear that sound? I believe the gate is finally unlocked.
Vamos allá.
That was anticlimactic. He could have at least included a flash, a bang, or a puff of smoke.
Bueno, tú te callas, Ringabel.
Let's head in before Ringabel has a chance to flap his gums again.
Para adentro. Seguramente acorte todo lo que es el castillo para dicho.
Even colder than it is outside.
Look at all those paintings. Did we just stumble into an art gallery?
They all have a sort of forlorn look to them.
Vale.
My, what a large portrait. Is that Lord De Rosso?
His wife was sure an attractive one. Oh, and it says something under the painting. Lester, eldest son of the House of De Rosso. Future clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and Cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy. Born in the land of Eternia on a cold winter's day. So,
Qué específico, ¿eh?
not his beautiful young wife. And that little baby is Lord De Rosso.
Clergyman? Of the Crystal Adventists?
Is something the matter, Agnes?
The Crystal Adventists were the predecessors of the Crystal Orthodoxy. It is now known as the Old Faith, but it hasn't been practiced in over 2,400 years. How could he have been a member of the Adventist clergy? According to this portrait, Lord De Rosso is incredibly old, even ancient.
Yes, indeed.
Nos lo dijeron ya,
I was born of these frozen lands
Nos lo dijo ya Juliana, de que era...
400 years.
Tenían bastante años.
And this portrait?
I was but an infant, as you can see. This is a reproduction, however. The original was lost long ago to fire.
And what of the part that reads, Clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and Cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy?
Yes. As Windvestal, you would be expected to take interest in such matters. But ere I delve into the matter of the Old Faith and the Orthodoxy, allow me to tell of the founding of this land. As you may well know, this land had long been ruled by the Crystal Orthodoxy. However, 15 years passed, the Templar rose up and occupied their lands. Thus was the Duchy of Eternia born. Or so I expect you have been taught. However, the Templar did not found a new state. In truth, he restored an ancient dynasty.
He did?
Long before the Crystal Orthodoxy ruled this land, it was known as the Kingdom of Eternia. In a time 2,400 years past, Eternia was a bountiful land blessed with 4 distinct seasons. The highlands were not as lofty as they are today. People and ideas flowed freely from other lands. The kings of Eternia were protectors of the Earth Crystal and the Crystal Adventists, ruling in peace for generations. To the west lay the castle of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia with royal blood in their veins. Relations with the royal family were good, and ever did the kings of Eternia treat the dukes of our house with kindness. In return, the House of De Rosso did faithfully serve generations of Eternian kings.
A family. Little did he know of the approaching maelstrom. Such tragedy that we could not possibly fathom.
Creo que aquí tenemos otro cuadro. ¿Me van a decir historia? A ver.
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord De Rosso.
Otro rato de historia.
It is a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters. I was born of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the Old Faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. Sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the 4 crystals of Luxemdark, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal De Rosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The Old Faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule.
Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy, and for the people of this world.
The old faith in the Orthodoxy, the Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy, that was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings.
No está hecho para vosotros, está hecha a gente que tiene conocimiento mental. Ay,
Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the
voy a omitirlo.
and faded away.
No wonder the old faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history.
Bueno, eso siempre se ha hecho, reescribir la historia a gusto del que manda, más que nada.
Between the two faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to
ser
bear
inmortal.
witness.
Es normal que tú sepas de qué iba la wea.
How could you possibly be that old?
Lo sabremos más adelante. Conversación. El discurso épico de Lord de Rosso. Ringabel, estuviste como un tronco durante todo el discurso de Lord de Rosso. ¿Como un tronco? ¿Quiere decir que te estabas durmiendo? Ah, tanto se me notaba. ¿Notarse? Roncabas como un oso. ¿En serio? Lo siento mucho. Hasta yo sé que es de muy mala educación. Eso es, aunque haya sido un discurso realmente largo. Cierto, Ringabel, muy mal educado. Roncabas tan alto que incluso me has despertado. ¿Qué? ¿Tú también estabas durmiendo, Edea? ¡Qué pandilla! Otro cuadro más. A ver, ¿qué nos cuenta esta vez?
This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment.
Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian Central Command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Que nos lo explique aquí el señor de Rosso.
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the fore. 'Tis the abode of my family, the House of De Rosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy.
Fue un golpe de estado como una catedral.
Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, The great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered naught but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the cardinal who had sought to influence my vote. The fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing? This all reminds me of what happened during the Great Plague.
Indeed. Perhaps the Templar and I are not so very different. To be betrayed by what you believe in. To have your family and those you protect murdered. Though we do not see eye to eye. Perhaps it is a shared sorrow that binds us.
Joder. Vaya. Siguiente cuadro. A ver qué me cuenta esta vez.
Look! Such fierce flames.
Though I wish not to remember that day, it is indelibly etched upon my mind.
How did you survive?
The Orthodoxy lay siege yet would accept no surrender. My mother, father, relatives, and my people lay dead. It was then I set our castle ablaze. But as the flames began to lick my body, something slipped into me. Betrayed by the precepts I believed in, was I not bitter? Robbed of my beloved homeland, my dearest of kin, my people, slain. Amid such despair, was I content to simply welcome death? Nay, I heard a voice. Accept me, and I shall grant life everlasting. Though it shall be filled with grief, thou shalt have all eternity to wreak vengeance upon thine enemies. Did I forge a dark pact with some fiendish entity that day? Or was it a rebirth, triggered by a future me, reaching back to the past?
No lo sé, pero no tiene buena pinta.
Panicked upon failing to find my body, the Orthodoxy chose to denounce my family and me as ghoulish vampires. Thus have I been living an immortal existence ever since.
Then the name Vampire Castle is...
A lie that has been perpetrated by the Orthodoxy for some 2,400 years. Though it is true I am immortal, I am no vampire. I find the smell of blood too revolting to ever drink it. Having said that, I have done naught to quell the rumors. In truth, I endeavored to embellish them. My ability to transform myself into a bat and grow these fangs
Ya que está la aprovechan, ¿no?
of many years. Long, long years of effort. Tell me, O Vestal of the Wind, what does the Crystal Orthodoxy have to say about the passing of the first Grand Patriarch?
He chose the second Grand Patriarch and prayed for peace and the well-being of the faithful as he passed peacefully from this world.
Passed peacefully from this world, you say? I know the truth to be far different.
What do you mean?
The first Grand Patriarch was assassinated, along with his Archbishop. The man who had been my bane. The assassin himself tells you this.
Obviamente tomó represalia. Se vengó de todo el mundo.
That was when I forsook this land. Soon after, sightings of the vampire Lester de Rosso began to crop up throughout the world. I became a veritable Duke of Darkness, forging ties with those bearing hatred toward the Orthodoxy, and those it had oppressed. I was the enemy of man, the hated and feared vampire. But more than that, I was known as the arch-enemy of the Orthodoxy. And after some 500 years, a fateful encounter with one whom you all know well. No, let us leave the matter for another time.
Next cuadro. A ver qué cuenta este.
A battlefield landscape?
It represents the long and hard-fought war between the Orthodoxy and we denizens of darkness. For 500 years, my thirst for vengeance remained unsated. It had also been 500 years since the Orthodoxy had been founded. The world was in the midst of an age of seafaring and piracy. Compared to the great exchange of ideas and information, the once hallowed Orthodoxy began to lose its luster. The authority of the Grand Patriarch and the Orthodoxy itself began to wane. Fearing irrelevancy, the Grand Patriarchy acted rashly to regain its authority. This led to the unusual decision to select a commoner, the gifted young Yuliana, for an important task.
Yuliana? Sage Yuliana?
Yes, indeed. At age 20, the young Yuliana became High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy.
It's hard to believe he ever was young.
It was no laughing matter, for there was no one more skilled at rooting out enemies of the faith than he. The shadowy ones, those who had been working against the Orthodoxy, were crushed by the host he led. In the several decades that saw him age, I cannot count the number of times we have crossed swords, he and I. In the great battle waged on the Karka Plain, the might of our clashing forces rent the very earth into a vast rift.
You mean the rift under Ison Bridge?
In the battle at the foot of Mount Fragmentum, our armies smoked the mountain to its very roots.
So that's how that ravine was created.
And in the battle fought on the Harina Plain, the once fertile earth was reduced to desolation. The loss of that fertile plain is believed to have ushered in the downfall of the Harina dynasty.
To think any sort of battle could change the face of the earth so.
We fought our final battle 1800 years ago on the Norende Heights in the land of Kaldisla.
The Norende Heights? That's where the Great Chasm opened up!
In the end, Yuliana, High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy, utterly defeated me, Lord de Rosso, leader of the Shadows.
You were defeated? But you're here with us today.
Pues supongo que no lo mató.
Well, there was more to that final battle than meets the eye. You see, I ceded the glory of victory to young Yuliana that day. I say young in my reckoning, for he was already 100 then.
100 años. Ya llevaba más de 600 vivos.
With what he claimed to be my remains. What he brought them was not human. And when the Templar attacked the head temple 15 years past, it is said they found my tomb deep underground. Ever dreading the darkness and my return, the Orthodoxy kept those duplicitous remains under arcane seal for over 1,000 years.
Pero bueno.
'Tis a tale replete with irony, is it not?
Otro cuadro más. A ver.
That is Sage Juliana.
Yes, indeed. No one would mistake such a man for young now. Having put down the blood-sucking Lord de Rosso, bane of the Crystal Orthodoxy, he became the first ever commoner to become an archbishop. Perhaps it was a small honor they threw his way, for he was already 101 years old and would not long count.
Bueno, claro, estoy hablando de Juliana.
That makes it sound despicable.
Agreed. The truth is, however, that was when Juliana's plot was at its most clever.
The sage's plot? What was he plotting?
He was taking measures to separate you Vestals and the faithful among the people from the Orthodoxy's corruption.
Vaya.
After
Siempre la
serving
corrupción.
some 80 years, he had witnessed firsthand how corrupt the institution had become. Should nothing be done, it would not be long before the putrid poison would do harm to the most innocent of the faith. So it was he vowed to rid the Orthodoxy of the source of this poison, the concentration of power.
But how?
For the great feat of defeating me, Juliana had been made archbishop, but in name only. But such was not key to his plot. Timing was the key. The proper time to separate the Vestals and the faithful from the Orthodoxy.
And just what timing would that be?
The great upthrust of the Eternian Highlands. At the time, the Highlands were not so formidable as they are today. But a colossal movement of earth and rock thrust the Highlands to lofty heights, thereby isolating Eternia from the world.
Hold on a moment. He was waiting for the Earth to move? How could he have known when such an event would take place?
I shall tell you in time. For now I will say this. Juliana bided his time till the Orthodoxy was cut off from the world. And at last, it happened. The Highlands ringing Eternia did thrust up to a
Bueno, Juliana ya sabemos que sabe de cómo va el tema de mundos paralelos y cosas así, entonces
And while the Earth Crystal remained in their keep, control of the crystals of fire, water, and wind was returned to their respective temples. This, what you believe to be the true form of crystalism, is the fruit of Juliana's efforts.
That was the sage's doing? I won't ever call him a miserable old lech again.
Sage.
Parece que ya estamos a punto de llegar porque ahí está Lord de Rosso. Pero aquí hay un cuadro más. A ver qué se cuenta este.
What is that glowing jewel-like object? I could swear I've seen something like that before.
I believe you have seen a similar sight
un
countless
asterisco, un asterisco.
times. It is known as an asterisk.
An asterisk? As in those objects we possess?
Yes, indeed. The second stage in Juliana's plot against the Orthodoxy's authority was to deprive them of the power to grant vocations.
Grant vocations? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Before Juliana intervened, special approval was required to change vocations within the Crystal Orthodoxy. In this way, the institution grew rich through fat profits they called alms.
Limosnas, ya.
Oh, so the Orthodoxy cornered the job market and the fees to participate therein.
In layman's terms, yes. But Juliana exposed this fact before the reigning Grand Patriarch. It was then that Juliana approached panicked high officials and the Grand Patriarch himself with a proposal of pure genius. He showed them a stone known as an asterisk, saying the granting of vocation should be based on it, overseen by the Orthodoxy. Those who sought such vocations would apply to the Orthodoxy and pay a fair price. Anyone with the means to pay could thus learn a new job.
That's no different from the old system where people had to pay alms.
No different indeed. But the Grand Patriarch and his officials had not but the material profits of the Orthodoxy in mind. Hence, they accepted Yuliana's proposal without question, even appointing him to the important position of overseeing the new asterisk system.
I failed to see how that really changed anything.
Todo subió de tiempo.
It did far more than you would guess, for he was the only one who knew
Claro.
how to make the asterisk stones.
Why, that wily old fox?
Menos mal que no iba ya
So it
viejo
was
baboso.
Yuliana robbed the orthodoxy of its authority to grant jobs and took it for himself.
Qué grande.
What of the Orthodoxy's profits? Wouldn't they demand Yuliana transfer the proceeds to their coffers?
Yuliana was long gone. Abandoning the seat of Archbishop, he fled with his knowledge of the asterisk craft.
Qué perro.
He also took arms and armor the Orthodoxy had seized from around the world.
Pero claro, tú se había confiscado en todo el mundo. Otra cosa es que se había prohibido su uso.
And sealed them away in a
Lugar sellado y secreto.
They now lie secreted away against the day the Orthodoxy's tyranny or some other impending doom threatens the people. He then hid himself in Yuliana Woods until those who knew him reached the end of their natural lives. But that did not take long, for I led the forces of the shadows to ensure their swift demise. I had always believed the Crystal Orthodoxy required not but the crystals, the Vestals, and the faithful. With the institution free of corruption, I returned to my homeland of Eternia after a 700-year absence. Where my family's castle once stood, I built a fortress of ice from whence I have been watching over the Orthodoxy's head temple. Meanwhile, Yuliana retired to that land to tend to the Vestals, but you know of that better than I.
Claro.
Say Juliana.
Vaya, con el viejo. Estamos ya mismo. Último asterisco por el momento que puedo obtener. El asterisco del vampiro.
I commend you for making it this far.
De Rosso, ¿no me lo podías dar los...?
No more paintings?
The final painting lies beyond this throne. I shall reveal it to you if you defeat me in battle.
Easy.
What?
The last test is a test of strength. I shall only reveal the painting to those whom I deem worthy. One might also say that there is no need for those who are unworthy to lay their eyes upon it. But be forewarned, I am a formidable foe. I trust you are well prepared.
A luchar. Estamos preparados, ¿no? No sé si le puedo robar algo. Madre mía, lo que me ha costado.
The immortal Lester de Rosso has been defeated.
No estás muerto. Por cierto, me acabo de acordar. No he hecho los piratas. Tengo que hacerlo ahora. 929 puntos de PT. Eso me hubiera venido de bien. Oh. Asterisco del vampiro. Bien. Uno de los últimos. Me queda el sabio, que es en el siguiente capítulo. Pembre. Absorbe estadística y habilidades de atacar. Aprende habilidades de los monstruos. Dagas, varitas y bastones. Drenaje, genoma. Acción de trabajo, vampirismo. B. Hostia. Es por un escudo, ¿eh?
I am a man of my word. Behold, the final painting.
Gracias. A ver cuál es el último cuadro. Lo vamos directamente del tiro.
This painting.
It is the angel descended from the heavens during my final battle against Yuliana.
An angel?
When we last did battle 1800 years ago, the battle raged 100 days. The mountains of Norende rent asunder. Knowing the battle was reaching its end, I mustered the last of my strength to cast my greatest of spells. As my final attack surged forth,
Un ángel descendió sobre Norende.
from the skies over Norende.
Are you sure it was an angel?
Verily so, for there are no other words to describe her. For a moment, Yuliana and I stood captivated. Before we realized it, our struggle was forgotten. We both tended to the angel. But the angel lost her light. Her wings were shattered and her body torn asunder. There seemed little hope she would live. When she came to her senses, she trembled with fear. Yet with little remaining strength in her body, she made unto us an appeal.
What appeal? What did the angel say to you?
Here she passed from this world. She slipped in and out of consciousness over many a day. In between ever-growing periods of unconsciousness, it was all she could do to mutter incoherently. A trap most vile, such a fool am I, the warriors of light, if it's not too late. These she would repeat over and over. When she did come to her senses, she would speak of the calamity that had befallen her. She spoke of how Luxemdark was on the brink of doom, and spoke with precision of the events that has heralded its coming. She herself was surprised to find that she knew of details of our past, and events of the future as well. The struggle between the old faith and orthodoxy, the tragedy that would befall my family, my immortality, even events of the distant future.
The distant future?
Es por esto lo mismo que sabía viejo Juliano, la cosa.
Spoke of events that have not come to pass even now.
Habla bendecido. Tengo que aguardar en el
Events that
futuro.
await you in your future. She told of a bringer of evil who would appear in the guise of one friendly to the Vestals and seduce them into unleashing chaos in the name of awakening the crystals.
Oh
This
no.
evil one would destroy Luxemdark by piercing the boundary that protects this world. And the opening of a great rift that sunders the earth shall herald its coming.
The Great Chasm.
El abismo, sí.
The angel told of many other omens ere the great chasm would open. The light of earth shall raise up the north, and a deathly plague shall cover all the lands. Then shall a great rift rend the earth. She then entrusted me with a certain task, one that only an immortal such as I could fulfill.
What sort of task could only an immortal fulfill?
That I cannot say, for she swore me to secrecy. But thereupon she quietly passed from this world. For 3 days and 3 nights, my former mortal enemy Yuliana and I spoke of what had transpired. Ultimately, we vowed to join forces to prepare for the coming doom of which the angel had foretold.
Pues estamos donde el barco pirata.
What do we do?
Vaya justo, no, o sea, no he hecho nada. Subir, subir.
There's nobody on board.
An actual, real-life ghost ship?
Ha-ha! Guests that yet breathe, a rare honor.
El pirata.
Have you found what you were looking for?
Hmm? What do you know of this? So you can read the hearts of men, Windvestal. Amazing. You have a second sight. Welcome to our pirate ship, the SS Funky Francisca. I am Captain Barbarossa, leader of the Black Blades Naval Force. You must be the Windvestal, and her companions. A pleasure to meet you. How could I not know of the brave souls who defeated the Swordmaster Kami Izumi, my commander? I have looked forward to meeting you in battle one day.
Pues ya estamos aquí, vamos a pelear. No discutamos, no perdamos mal tiempo.
I leave the helm to you, me matey. We'll make this a fair fight. Yarr! Yarr! The ship is coming apart! How clumsy of me to step through the deck. I sail this ship in search of a certain something. It can only be found by this vessel. You might call it adventure. Surely you don't have to be a man of the sea to know that.
I know what you speak of. A man's soul craves nothing more than the romance of adventure.
Well, aren't you two getting on famously, Ring-a-Bell?
Perhaps it is something women and children can never understand. If you think about it rationally, it does seem absurd. But absurd or not, it is adventure I seek. And the years I have spent wandering the seas in folly have shown me many truths.
That's it! The truth!
Now, let us have a little fun. See how you fare against my great ass.
A ver, si te voy a partir la madre, Barbarosa. ¿Qué te crees? Venga, va. Pem, 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 pem. Loco. Me ha matado instantáneo. Cago en Satán. Bueno, da igual. Qué anticlimático, por cierto, cuando hemos muerto.
Such power. Forgive me. I was not able to find the Susano. Oh.
Yo sí.
If it was the Susano O you sought, we found it. It exists. Your quest was not.
Creo que si hubiera venido sin la invocación de Susano, te lo dicen. El sueño de Tiz. Cuando era crío, quería ser marinero. ¿En serio? Pero Tiz, ¿no creciste en las montañas? Eso lo explica todo. Uno siempre sueña con lo que no puede tener. De todos modos, me acabé rindiendo. ¿Y eso? ¿Es difícil ser marinero si no sabes nadar? Sí, es normal, teniendo en cuenta que vivías tan lejos del mar. Uf, abandonar tus sueños por un detalle tan tonto. ¡Qué lástima! No creo que no saber nadar sea tonto si te pasas todo el día en el mar. Escucha, y que te quede claro. Tanto Ring-a-Bell como todos los oficiales del ducado pilotan barcos voladores. Pero ninguno de ellos puede volar. ¡Hombre! Hostia, este es el... Hacia el sudeste. Mi olfato de lobo del mar me dice que el Susano está al sudeste. Está al... Bueno, sí. Vale, pues señores y señores. Para mí son las 11:42 de la noche. Está todo terminado. Y... posiblemente, si estás viendo hoy este vídeo, es que esta misma tarde, a las 5:30, estamos peleando contra Alternis Dim, pasando el pilar de luz, derrotando a Juliana y sacando el final rápido. Te espero, mi canal de Twitch. Por aquí saldrá, supongo. Bueno, sale por ahí abajo, pero vosotros me metéis. Y nada. Adiós.